Hello students, I am Professor S.M. Gumre working in Civil Department here to discuss about the subject that is engineering mechanics. First, this is one of the important and core subject of engineering, that is engineering mechanics. So this subject is very important for civil, mechanical and mechatronic students because based on this basic knowledge of this subject, you can design many building components, many structure component, many machine components. So that's why this subject is most important for these disciplines. Okay. So today I am going to discuss about the engineering mechanics structure. Structure means how many units are there, what is the weightage in examination, and oh, few initial part of the subject. I am going to introduce this subject today. Okay. So see, as far as the exam is concerned, as you know that our college is now autonomous. This syllabus we have designed with the help of BOS members, and syllabus is according to the use of this particular knowledge in the field. Accordingly, we have designed this particular subject. It is having 3 hours per week lectures, practical 2 hours, okay, and total credit in examination will be 4. In There will be in-sem examination based on first 3 units, that will be for 30 marks. Then end-sem examination, that will be on all the units, where more weightage will be on last 3 units because on first 3 units already in-sem of 30 marks is conducted. And there will be TA. TA means what? Teacher's assessment. This is also called as CIA, continuous internal assessment. So that will be assessed by teacher based on your performance during the semester. Means I will conduct 6 tests on 6 units. Even I will conduct many activities related to this mechanics subject. Based on your performance, you will get this 20 marks. Okay. The student who will perform good in all the activities, they will get good marks out of this 20. So throughout this semester, I need your good cooperation to have the good marks in TA. Okay. So this is about the syllabus structure. Okay. Now course contents. So this, as I discussed before, so this particular subject will be having 6 unit. Unit 1, that is the system of forces. Okay, where we are going to discuss about the properties of the forces, different system of forces, resolution, composition, parallel, non-parallel forces. Okay, so that we are going to discuss in this particular unit. Then second unit is equilibrium, equilibrium of a force system. Here we are going to discuss about the equilibrium of a force system. Equilibrium means what? When forces are in rest, what is its effect on the body, or when bodies are in rest and when forces are applied, what is its effect on the body. Okay, static analysis is also called as the equilibrium. Third unit is centroid. Here we are going to locate the centroid of different areas, different geometrical areas. Okay, it is very simple unit. Next one, unit number 4 is analysis of trusses and cables. So these trusses and cables are the important engineering structures used in actual practice. That's why engineers should know how to analyze these particular structures, and accordingly we have kept this particular part in our syllabus. It is very important part of civil engineering designs. And then there are 4 units on, there are another 2 units on dynamics. So first 4 units we have discussed about the statics. Now fifth unit is on kinematics of the particle. In that we are going to discuss about rectilinear motion, motion under gravity, then circular motion or motion curves, relative motion, kinetics of curvilinear motion, projectile motion, path and polar coordinate. I think most of this part is covered in your physics. But how it is different from physics? So in physics you have just learned theoretical background of the subject, but here we are going to use these all principles and theories to solve the engineering problems. That is the major difference. So here we are going to solve many problems related to all these points. And last unit is kinetics of the particle. Here we are going to discuss about Newton's second law, work energy principle, momentum, principle of conservation of momentum, and then impact, elastic impact, plastic impact, impact between two bodies. So this is about our syllabus. So we are going to cover this entire part within this 2-3 months. Okay. So I request everyone you should have good attendance for this particular subject, because each lecture is having continuity over the previous lectures. So that's why if you miss previous lectures, so it is quite difficult to understand the concept of the topics. Okay, so that's why I need good attendance. Next one. Now see the books required for this subject. So here, textbook and reference books I have shown here separately. All these books are available in our library. You can use any one book, whatever you want, convenient, or to which book you are very comfortable. You can more popular books used in engineering mechanics, that is Beer and Johnson. This is one of the standard books available in library. So I will tell you, you can search this particular book in online also, because you will get a solved problem or even PDF of these books online. Then A.K. Tayal book, this is also available in library. Yes, Ramamuttam, that is also available in library. Here all the details are given, publication house, edition, everything. So try to use the latest edition of all these books. Next one is SS Bhavikatti, then Mario Paz for structural dynamics. Then few reference book also there, that is a book from Hibbeler. Hibbeler is having two copies, separate for static, separate for dynamics, or even there is one edition, 10th edition, I think it is combined static and dynamics. Next one is Timoshenko and Ang, that Young, that is another book. Okay. Then F.L. Singer, that is also one of the good book for engineering mechanics. Okay. So here I will advise that you should go through the exercise of these books. Very good problems are mentioned over there. Okay. So unless and until you are not solving problem your own, you will not understand this particular subject. So for better understanding whatever part is covered in the class, try to solve the problem based on that topic from that book. Or even, at the end of every topic, I will give you one or two problem for the assignment or for homework. Okay, as a homework. Assignment will be completed at the end of the unit, but homework, because if you are having good touch to this particular subject, then you will having the good practice. So here what happens normally with the mechanics, now up to 12th you have used a logarithm table to solve the numericals. Now in engineering, here calculator is allowed to solve the problems. But when calculator is allowed, at that time your answer must be correct. There is no error, there must not be any error in the calculation. Because when you are using calculator, and even though if you are having any calculation mistake, so you will not get marks. Okay, you will hardly get 1 mark out of 5 or 6. So here equally important, your answer must be correct, because you are using the calculator. So there is a scientific calculator available in any shop. You just ask them to have the scientific calculators. Okay, so purchase that and try to use for this particular subject, and whatever calculator you are using, try to learn all the functions. Okay, so go to your seniors and try to use all these, how to use bracket, how to solve simultaneous equation, how to solve quadratic equation. Okay, how to use trigonometric functions, so that even you can have the practice by your own, along with the calculator. Normally they are providing one information book or brochure. You go through that and learn all these things, but better you ask your seniors how to use this calculator, so that will be more helpful to you. Because unless and until you don't know the calculator in detail, so you cannot solve problem correctly. Okay, so how to use memories, that is also important part. Okay, so my request is, you go to your seniors or those who are good in calculators, you ask them your difficulties without any hesitation. See, in engineering, teamwork is very, very important. You might have come across very big industries in civil, in mechanical, in mechatronics. Okay, so here important is the teamwork. Whenever any car is manufactured, so to manufacture that particular car, there is a thousands of hand involved. Okay, so it shows the we can say effort of unity. Unity means what? Lot of people when they are coming together, they can have the good or bigger things. Okay, so try to uh, form your group, compatible group, and try to learn all these things in the groups, because unity is one of the we can say one of the important thing. Okay, when you are having good group, then you can solve any type of engineering problems. Nowadays there is a lot of competition in the market. Okay, so you might have heard from the various surveys of various institutes. So currently only 15 to 25% engineers are employable. So that means out of 100 only 15 to 20 engineers they are good or employable. Means rest of the engineers what they are doing, they are just doing degree for the sake of the degree getting certificate without any knowledge. See here we are not here to uh, give the examination and pass the course. Here main important part is after passing the course what you have learned, that is most important. Okay, so you should have good knowledge of this particular branch. Your branch is I think mechatronics or whatever is the branch. Irrespective of the branch, you should do best in your branch. You should have good knowledge. When after completing your 4 years of degree course, when you will get interviewed at that particular time, if even simple question, if they have asked you what is the law of polygon and if you fail to answer, there is no use of studying this particular subject. So don't mug up it. Part karu naka. That is my humble request. Do the practice. Okay, do the practice, and practice will make you perfect. So up to 12th you have learned this physics, chemistry, biology, this subject 100 times, and that's why you may be having 80, 90, 95%. Okay, here in engineering that 12 percentage doesn't matter. Even the student who have 40 marks may perform well in engineering. So here I am working from many years here. I have seen many examples. Those students who are very average in 12th or in first year, they are topper in final year. Okay. So here your talents it doesn't matter. What matters is your efforts, hard works, and how sincerely you are completing this course. That most matters. Okay, so try to be sincere for these 4 years, because when you will take good efforts in these 4 years, you will be having your good future. Okay, you will be having your good future. Okay, so this was somewhat apart from the subject, what is the necessity of this course and what you should do. Okay, I have just focused for 1 or 2 minutes. Now next part after the in 6 units. Now next part is term work of this particular subject. So this subject is having 6 practicals and 6 assignments. Total there are 8 practicals. So we will perform all the 8 practicals in our laboratory. Apart from this, we are having 6 assignments on 6 units. Out of that, 4 assignments are mandatory. Okay. So don't copy attend assignments from other students. Try to solve it your own. So this is about the practicals. Now one by one we are going to discuss in the laboratory. So I will just name all these practicals. First one is to verify the law of polygonal forces. Next one is determination of beam reactions. Next one is moment of inertia using flywheel. Another one is to determine the coefficient of friction, to determine the coefficient of restitution for direct central impact, to study the Curvilinear motion, to determine the member forces of determinant trusses, and next one is equilibrium of concurrent forces in space. So these are 8 practicals. We are going to perform all the 8 practicals in our engineering mechanics laboratory. Okay, and we are having 4 to 5 assignments along with these 8 practicals. Okay, now before going for subject, I will discuss few terms or important definitions. First one is the particle. Now in mechanics, everywhere you will find the force is acting on the particle, force is acting on the body. Okay, so whenever body and particle terms are there, you know that body means what? Any article that is physically present over the uh, present. Okay, particle is also a we can say small body, but it is having very negligible dimensions, very small particle. Suppose when chalk is made up of thousands of particles, if you remove one small particle, so that how we can define that particle? It is a material point without dimension, but which contains definite amount of matter. Okay, so it is normally a dimensionless matter, that is called as a particle, very small in magnitude. You can see in dimension. Okay. Next term is body, matter limited in all the direction. Okay, so it is the matter means not made up of some material, limited in all direction, or it can be a object which occupies definite space. Means it is having some volume, that is called as the body. Next one, the rigid body. As you know that rigid body means what? The body which does not deform under the action of external forces. Means in simple way, when any force is acting on the body, there is no effect on that body, that is called as the rigid body. No body is perfectly rigid in the inverse. It is an imaginary concept. Okay, practically every body deforms slightly under the action of forces. So practically when you are applying the force on any body, there will be slight deformation. Means rigid body is an just imaginary concept. Rigid body never exists in nature, because whenever you are applying any force, so definitely there will be some effect on that particular body. Okay. Now scalar quantity. All these terms you have discussed, I think, in physics, but it is just a repetition, or this is the prerequisites that is required for engineering mechanics subject. So I will just remind you all these things again. So scalar quantity, as you know that it is the physical quantity having only magnitude. It does not have any direction. Just like mass, length, time, okay, volume, area, speed. These are all the scalar quantities. Next one is the vector quantity. So it is an we can say quantity which is having both magnitude and direction. Okay, so that is called as the vector quantity. So for example, force. Okay, force is equal to mass into acceleration. Means it is having mass and acceleration. So it depends on other quantity for the measurement. Next one is velocity. Velocity means meter per second. So meter is the unit of dimension and second is time. Means it is depends on either meter or it maybe depends upon either time. Next one is the weight. Weight means Newton. Newton is derived in it. So that's why it is also a vector quantity. Okay. So there are two types of units we have discussed in physics. That is fundamental units. Okay. That is called the length, mass and time. Fundamental means what? They does not depends upon other units for their measurement. Such units are called as fundamental units. And next one is the derived unit. So they are depends on other quantities for their measurement, are called as the derived units. Okay, so this is about the few terms. Now, starting with the definition of mechanics. So, what is mechanics? Mechanics is the branch of physical science that deals with the action of forces on the body at rest or in motion. Or simply, you can say it is the branch of physical science studies the effect of forces when they are either rest or in motion. That is called as mechanics. So, mechanics is the branch of physical science. Normally, it deals with the forces. At that time, forces may be at rest or in motion. So, mechanics is having two main branches. This is mechanics. Mechanics is having two main branches. One is statics, another is dynamics. So, static means what here? Static means here it is rest condition. Okay. Static means rest condition. Okay. And next one is dynamics means what? In motion. So, uh, the branch which deals with the action of forces on particle at rest condition is called as the statics. Okay. For example, forces acting on the building, dams, tower, bridges, or any car is parked and forces acting on the car, that may be a static forces. Okay. And dynamics. Now, next branch is dynamics branch which deals with the study of action of forces on a particle in motion, that is called as the dynamics, means forces acting on moving car, rocket, ship, etc. And that dynamics having two branches, one is kinematics, the second one is kinetics. Kinematics is normally, it is the branch of dynamics. Kinetics is what? It is the branch of dynamics, deals with the study of forces without considering mass and forces causing the motion. Okay, it is the branch of dynamics, deals with the study of forces without considering mass and forces causing motion. Okay, and kinetics, what is the difference between these two? Here it considers mass of the body and forces causing motion. That is only the difference. It is also a branch of dynamics. Both are the branch of dynamics, but here mass of the body and forces causing motion are neglected in first one, and in kinetics both are considered. Mass of the body and forces causing motion both are considered in this particular branch, that is called as kinetics. Okay, so very carefully you should go through this particular contents. Now next one is the force. So what is the force? Force is an external agent, okay, which when applied on any part it can change the state of the body. Okay, so force is an external agency which produces or tends to change the state of the body. Okay, change to produce the state of the body means what? When any body is in motion, by applying force it can be made into it can be brought into rest condition, or with the body which is in rest condition which can be brought into motion condition by applying the force. So force may be destroy tend to destroy the motion. Okay, means it will change the we can say position of the body from static to dynamic position, or dynamics to static position. So force is an vector quantity. Okay, it is a vector quantity, and unit of force is Newton or kilonewton. Unit of force is Newton and kilonewton. You can see below, force required to produce an acceleration of 1 meter per second square in a body of mass kg. Unit Newton force. It is the definition of unit Newton force. Sometimes in examination you are having this definition. What is 1 unit Newton force? So 1 unit Newton force means what? The force which is required to produce an acceleration of 1 meter per second square in a body of mass 1 kg. When mass of 1 kg body is there, to produce an acceleration of 1 meter per second square, what is the magnitude of force required? That is called as a unit force. And normally F is equal to ma. That is the expression where unit of mass is kg and unit of acceleration is meter per second square. So kg meter per second square, it is also called as a Newton, or it is called as Newton. Okay, so 1 kg relation, you should know all this relation, because in examination normally force may be given in any unit out of these 5 to 6. So 1 kg means what? Approximately 9.81 Newton. 1 kg means 9.81 Newton. 100 kg means what? 1 kilonewton. 1 kilometer means what? 1000 Newton. 1 mega Newton, Mn means what? Mega. Mega means what? 10 to power 6. 1 Mn means 10 to power 6 Newton. 1 Gn, G stands for giga. 1 giga Newton is called as 10 to power 9 Newton. So you should able to convert all this into one another. Okay. So normally kg, Newton, kilonewton, these are the three units which will be more familiar in many problems. So you should know this convergence. When mass is given, suppose 10 kg, so 10 into 9.1, that will be in Newton. Okay, so in this way you should able to convert. Now after definition of force, next definition is characteristics of force. So force has a magnitude. Magnitude means what? 20 Newton, 100 Newton, 5 kilonewton, 1000 Newton, that is called as a magnitude. Force has magnitude. Force has direction. Direction means what? Angle with which some reference line, north, east, west, south. Means any force when they are acting like this, so it is having direction. It is moving in northeast direction like this. Or when force is acting vertically, it is moving in north direction. That is called as it has a direction. It has a sense. Sense means what? It may be pull or push. Okay. So when any force, suppose it is the point here, when force acting away from the point, that is called as a tensile force. Okay, that is called as a pull force. So here pull force act away from the point. If this is the point at the center, when forces are acting away, like this arrow are acting away, that is called as the pull force. Pull force is also called as a tensile force. Okay, and push force. Push means what? Any force is acting towards the point. If this is the point and any force is acting towards, arrow are towards the point, that is called as a push force. At many doors, there may be written that pull the door or push the door. Pull means you have to apply the tensile force towards you. Okay, when you are holding the hand to the handle. So pull means what? You should that pull towards your side. And when it is a push, push means what? Opposite side you have to push that. That is called as the push force. Next one is it has a point of application. Means it is having exact point where it is acting. That is called as the point of application. Here I have shown one force here of magnitude F. Okay, it has a sense pull means it is acting away because arrow is acting away. It has a direction means certain angle theta. Okay, in particular quadrant, and this is the quadrant system. You know very well this is the first quadrant, this is second quadrant, this is third quadrant, this is fourth quadrant. In first quadrant, force will be resolved plus plus. In both the direction it will be plus plus. So here it is y direction plus, x direction negative. Here in this quadrant is negative negative. Here in this quadrant x is plus and y is negative. These are the sign conventions in the quadrant. Next one is after the we can say this uh, characteristics of the force. The next important part is principle of transmissibility of the force, or it is also called as transmissibility principle. So what is the transmissibility principle? So here you can see the first of all statement, the point of application of a force can be transmitted anywhere along its line of action within the body without changing its effect. Means point of application of force can be transmitted anywhere along its line of action. First of all, you should know what is line of action. If this is the force I have shown here, if I am extending this force in this straight line in this particular line, that is called as a line of action. Okay, this is the line of action of this particular force. So what it means? So whenever suppose in this figure you can see this is the figure, there are 2 points I have shown A and B. Okay, and force F is acting at point A. Okay, force acting at point A. This is your point of application. The point of application of force can be transmitted anywhere on its line of action within the body. So this is the line of action of the body. This one means this applied force can be transmitted at this point or here anywhere on it on the line of action. So it will having the same effect. यानी कि फर्स्ट फिगर में अगर ये पॉइंट पे फोर्स है, तो सेकंड में एक ही जगह अगर मैं बी पे दिखाता हूँ on the same line of action means on this line of action, so there is no effect on the body means or whatever effect produced by point A will be same effect will be at the point B. There is no effect on the body when this particular force is applied anywhere on its line of action. So as per this principle, this is an important principle. So whenever you are this is the figure, you can show this force here and on this action on this line of action we are increasing straight line, that can be shown here also. Okay, here also, but it is an important concept in case of quadrant system. Okay, so when suppose this force is pushing this quadrant, now arrows you can see the arrow, this is push because arrow is toward the point. This can be made pull in opposite quadrant because if you extend line of action, this angle is theta, with the same angle theta you can extend this particular force. So I have removed this particular force and I have applied this force here. That is called as principle of transmissibility. But condition is force must be pushed. Suppose any force is pushed here, that can be made pull in opposite quadrant. So that is called as the principle of transmissibility. Means applied force in any quadrant can be made as a pull in opposite quadrant. That is called as the principle of transmissibility of the force. Okay, means on the line of action force can be extended anywhere, it will cause the same effect on the body. That is called as the principle of transmissibility. Okay, means this force if we apply at A point, B point, C point, D point, whatever point in the figure, it will have the same effect or the whatever effect will be having at B point, it will be having same effect at the B point. So this is about the principle of transmissibility. So for today it is I think this will be sufficient. So what we have covered today? So we have covered today Yes, what we have covered today? We have covered syllabus of this subject, CIA. Then we can say this one, all the 6 unit part. Then we have covered about what are the books available. Then 6 practical, 6 assignment. This is term work part. Then definition, all these definitions. Okay. Mechanics, its branches, static dynamics, and dynamics having 2 branches, kinematics, kinetics. Next one is force, its unit, characteristics of the force, and principle of transmissibility. So this part we have covered today. So you write down all these things in your notebook very in very good handwriting. Okay. So this is nothing but your notes. Okay. So for today it is sufficient. I will stop here. Thank you. Thank you very much.